That's weird, man.
Live from Hollywood, California, That's Weird Man Comedy and Curiosity Cast with Jake Hayes and Khalil Tomlin.
That's weird, man.
Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of That's Weird Man. I'm your favorite host, Jacob Hayes, and with me,
Khalil Tomlin.
That's right. We're here. We're making it happen. We're talking about some crazy shit, some shit going on in Peru. I don't know if you've seen this shit. A guy I follow, Anthony, and I'm going to space on his last name. But he's this guy who's been following the UFO scene for a while, and he was bringing up this kind of breaking news story about face peelers of Peru.
So here they are, actively shooting at these beings and filming it on a cell phone.
Se trata de habitantes de la tribu Iquitu del distrito de Alto Nanay en Loreto, quienes denuncian ser víctimas de violentos ataques por parte de seres desconocidos.
Necesitamos apoyo para nuestra comunidad.
This is the village leader, the tribal leader of the village here. He says they're extraterrestrials, and then he's describing how they're dressed. He said he shot at them, but they don't fall down. So they just get up and then they lift off into the air. So here you see the police showed up, and then some other videos you'll see the Navy. He's talking about how they have like discs on the bottom of their shoes, and they elevate off the ground, and they have a red light emanating from the bottom of these discs. And here's the 15-year-old girl. Go ahead and play that, Doug. There's the 15-year-old girl. They're blurring her face, but there she is. So go ahead and pause right there, Doug. So, and this particular news report, they're blurring her face, but I've got some news reports here that I've been watching where they don't blur her face, and you can clearly see her neck she has a couple lacerations on her neck. You can kind of see it in this video. You see the red.
You can see the blood,
yeah. There's blood there, and there's some sort of bandaging there on her neck.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of any type of attack or wound?
Yes. We're going to get into that in a minute, but so you can see the blood, you can see the bandaging. Apparently, she was physically grabbed by one of these beings, and I also heard one of the guys from the village describe these beings. This isn't the first encounter they've had with these beings. We'll get into that in a minute. Sometimes they encounter them wearing dark cloaks with hoods, and they attack at night, and they're trying to try to grab people at nighttime, and they're described as I don't like to use movie references, but they're described as almost like the Predator from the movie, where you can see them and then suddenly they sort of almost go totally transparent, but you can still sort of see them there, but they just blend into the jungle. So it's some sort of a cloaking technology that these villagers are describing.
And he spent a lot of time there. There's a lot of local legends, and they believe, of course, they see it a little bit differently, but they're no stranger to the UFO and alien phenomena. And I got to say, with everything going on, we always talk about Project Blue Book, like what's a PSYOP, what's not. I'm open to this being, I'm not confirmed that it's a thing, but he was showing a lot of interesting videos of them, grainy video where you're like, oh, okay, maybe that's an alien. There's definitely something on the roof. And then they were showing videos of when they would found this body, and this dude had his entire, and we'll play it here on the show, has his entire face removed, and you see the white of his skeleton. And it's weird because it wasn't actually horrifying, even though it sounds like it, because there's no blood.
So what you're looking at here are two Peruvian, they look like two gentlemen who either are police or civilian police or something, maybe detectives. Their vests say police, and they're taking the banana leaves off of this man who's lying on the bank of a river. And I think we determined that he was deposited there for the police. So they're removing these banana leaves, which people used to cover him. You're going to see why people covered him, his head with banana leaves in a moment. Again, those are their vests say police, so let's assume those are Peruvian police. Now they're picking him up. And look at his head. It is bereft of skin. At least I'd say 3/4 of it, if not almost the entirety of his face is gone. Not partially gone, completely gone. And you'll see if you back up a little bit, Doug, because I think that's where, well, there he is laying on the ground. So let's see. Is that the end of the video?
Yeah,
it just plays. Okay, so back up, and you're going to notice that his face was removed with surgical precision around the neck there. You see that? There's a circular cut around the neck. Now, is this video real? Is it authentic? Or is it photoshopped or edited in some way? I don't know, but I think it'd be very difficult to edit this video because you're looking at somebody's cell phone footage. So we're looking at somebody's cell phone, a Peruvian villager's cell phone that they captured, presumably. And there's a lot of movement. You see all the movement. Look, they drop him. The police officer falls and drops him. I mean, it doesn't look like prosthetic to me, and it does not look like CGI. Now, again, I don't know what the context is of this video, but I'm going to guess that this has something to do with the pelacaras. And when these Peruvian people call these beings pelacaras, I think we're looking at why they call them the face peelers. Again, allegedly this happened this year and is from the same general region of Peru where this village was attacked. It's really quite disturbing.
Well, you can see that it appears to be rigor mortis has set in.
Yes.
I've seen my share of dead bodies. If even the movement right there, you can see the spine articulating.
Yes.
If this was a movie prop, my hat's off to you. That is the most convincing movie prop I've ever seen. But you can tell that the guy has weight to him. This guy right here, the policia, he slips coming up the embankment. If this was going to be a movie, it was shot very poorly, but we have not been able to discern yet if this is a movie, if it's a spoof. That seems to be a dead man. I've seen my share of that. I have never seen an injury like this. I've seen people blown apart, lacerated. When I worked in federal prisons, I've seen people stabbed up, gutted, half their face cut off before. But it seems like he has been exsanguinated. There's no blood. There's no blood coming out of anywhere. Look, the face will bleed more than almost anything else because the hundreds of capillaries that are all over the face, and there is no flesh anywhere. There's no burn marks from what we can see on here, and you can even see the scalp line where the fatty tissue is.
Exactly.
And the way the neck articulates as they're moving. I mean, it takes 3 men to move a dead body. That's fairly accurate. A person who's completely limp is a very, very heavy weight. And what we guess is that someone came down the river, deposited this man along the side of the river for the police to then go and collect. And this is most likely the criminal investigators who are here.
I can say that we can confirm that this particular video was uploaded
There's
to
the
YouTube.
coroner.
Right. There he is. Yeah. This particular video was uploaded to YouTube on August 2nd. So this may be very recent, and it may, in fact, be directly related to the incident in the village.
But that's the whole point, is that he's sanguinated. So, we've talked about cattle mutilations now on the podcast, but anybody, if you're a stranger to UFO, ufology, lore...
This nigga say ufology.
You know what I mean? Well, whatever the fuck. What is the better term? I'm not saying UAP-ology. What's that bullshit? But yeah, cattle mutilations are often would find, weird burn marks in the field, and then you'd have like the cow, and it'd be faceless, and the blood would be drained, weird random organs would be removed. So this reminded me immediately of that. Timothy Alberino, that's his name, finally comes to me. And so yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. but I'd like to know your take. Have you heard about? Let's put it this way: if aliens exist and this was them, who are they? What do they want? Why do they want to peel our faces and drain our blood?
This is just too much like that movie with Mel Gibson and Hair Lip.
Conspiracy theory?
No, but
That is a good one,
The
though.
hair,
We'll
the
talk
hair
about
lip
that, too.
guy, the hair lip, the Joker, the hair lip guy, the hair lip guy.
Oh, you keep
Come
saying
on,
it. I'm
the
not
hair
thinking.
lip guy from he played the Joker. He won the Academy Award, not the dead one, the other one.
Heath Ledger or the other one?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, Joaquin. Sorry.
You ever
okay.
seen the one with Joaquin Phoenix and Mel Gibson, who's like the best actor ever?
Yeah.
Except for Denzel's pretty awesome. And then we got some more guys coming up, and Lakeith.
I just pictured Denzel Washington as the Joker, and I'm not saying no. You know, I'm open to it. So.
Let me tell you something, man. Denzel Washington is like one of the best. I think, in my opinion, there's a handful of people. There's a lot of people that are good. There's a lot of people that have a lot of talent, and maybe they haven't gotten the same shine as other people.
Yeah.
But he's just one of those guys. There's a combination of the things that he chooses to do and his skill, and it's just he's pretty much you don't miss. If you see him in the credits, if you see DiCaprio, you know you're going to be entertained at the very least.
Well, there's a lot of bullshit like method actors and I'm an actor and all this stuff. But he's one of those guys you see him do the work of it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like he takes it seriously and I don't like pompous actors by any means, but I like like Gary Oldman. I think of him, just people who they're not about being a celebrity. They believe in storytelling and their place in it as actors. You know what I mean? And that's cool.
Those are the people that you actually meet in your life,
Mm-hmm.
or just living your life, and you bump into them.
Yeah.
And set aside the fact that they're like a very well known, very talented, very a lot of working actor.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who are like. Celebrity's not what they're interested in. They really like what they're doing. It's money, of course. It's money. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It's money, and they like what they're doing because, like a motherfucker's dad could have been a carpenter or a mechanic or something, and he loved and respected, but he don't want to work like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but you get. I was going back. I get off topic really quick. I'm gonna go back to where I was. So the thing going on in Peru reminds me of that movie. I think it was an M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. Signs.
That's a great film.
Great film. The shit in
With
Peru,
Mel Gibson.
that whole
Yeah.
thing about Peru reminds me of that.
This crop stuff is about a bunch of nerds who never had a girlfriend in their lives. They're like 30 and they work up little codes together and they analyze Greek mythology and make up secret societies where other guys who never had girlfriends before can join in. They do stupid crap like this to feel special. It's a scam. Nerds were doing it 25 years ago, new nerds are doing it again.
The whole, it
Absolutely.
gave me that vibe. And
Yeah.
here's and I'm 43 and I've been in America. I know what's really. I don't really know exactly what's going on, but I know bullshit.
Sure. Yeah.
And I know that, like, a perfect example, didn't like the feds just like, as a matter of fact, like went on to Tucker's WhatsApp and pulled some shit out, like,
Oh, yeah,
something like, okay.
yeah.
So what I'm saying, so that means like no matter what they tell you, the information is heavily filtered.
Absolutely.
If we're being allowed to see something, I usually count it as bullshit. All the staggering COVID number. Can I tell you something? If there was really a disease sweeping across the world that killed like 250, 300,000 Americans really fast, they would lie about it so much. I swear to God, it wouldn't be covered this way. It would be. I swear to God, it wouldn't go down like this.
Well, I
It
agree
wouldn't
with
have
that
went down
because
way.
I do think the elite of the world and country are eugenicists. So I agree with that.
And there's certain people whose personal interest and their financial interests go against any narrative involving everybody knowing
yeah.
the true nature of the world around them. It's really sad to say it that way, but that's the honest truth. There are people who, evil people, play the long game.
Right.
So, you get people who aren't evil, who are genuinely good, and they're just trying to get ahead. They do short-term bullshit to get to their next goal, but like
Right.
evil plans hundreds of years in advance.
Exactly.
That's the way it works. So I know there's something else, but I also know that like I get ridiculed for being a flat earther, but nobody who tells me the earth is round can give me like a real argument. They're just parroting out something they read in a book or what all these different facts are and what's what. But like, you know how when somebody presents something in medicine or in science, they have to like present their sources and
Right.
they have to show what that was. If you really think about it, I didn't trip on this till I was watching like the Big Bang Theory with my kid, right? She likes it. And I was watching the Big Bang Theory and I saw this thing where like they were all like astrophysicists or something like that,
Right.
right? And at some point, I don't even know why, because I was staring at the white girl. But at some point, I realized Kaylee Cuoco. At some point, I realized that they were only because there's a line that Sheldon made. He was making fun of a geologist, and he said, geology isn't a real science, but geology is actually a true science. What they practice is theoretical physics. It's you're contemplating and formulating theories based on the last theory, based on the theory before, and based on the theory before. And none of these are definites. They're just accepted truths. Albert Einstein said that there's no vantage point from the Earth where you could ever positively see or tell the true orientation of the Earth or the shape or the size.
Yeah.
But somehow we've got the Earth is 20 million miles around, and the sun is 93 million. Where the fuck do all these measurements come from, and who measured it, and when, and how?
Well,
How?
I always like Sam Tripoli's approach, where he's like he listens to every. First of all, I always prefer open-minded and people who, like you said, like the average person, regardless of the topic, doesn't look into the thing, but they're ready to negate it because it's against the popular narrative. What I like about Sam's approach is he's like, I think, well, whatever we're in, it's a realm. That's how I think. And I kind of think of it similarly because I'm not. Where I'm at with things, because like we talked about before on the show, I know NASA lies. I know they lie. The government school history is a lie in many ways. So keeping that in mind, I'm always open to they could be lying to us about this. To me, especially since I've known you, stuff you sent me, but also stuff I've come across, the biggest thing, if you want to take it really incrementally, for me, is seeing stuff like old encyclopedias from like the 50s showing stuff where it's like, or Air Force manuals, which I've come across, which before a certain year were very like, hey, it's a 13,000 foot up, or 13,000 miles up, whatever it was, probably miles, sorry. Yeah,
There's a ceiling.
There's
They
the
spoke
dome,
of
or
it like
however
a
they say
ceiling.
it, or there's different ways of even understanding what the firmament exactly is. Yeah. But I do find myself more and more going like, well, who was involved with the space program, and when my dad was growing up, space, science, medicine, all those things were pushed huge.
Forefront.
And it was all about, but just considering that with like, okay, we brought in a Nazi scientist.
Lots of Nazi scientists.
Lots of them with Project Paperclip, but specifically Werner von Braun got brought over. And then the guys he was working with, which is like a meme. I mean, I came across this before, but a meme put it perfectly, where they had like a satanic pentagram, and they had these 5 scientists and thought leaders around. All of them had worked in MK Ultra. All of them worked with NASA. All of them worked with CIA and Deep State. It was Aleister Crowley, father of the New Age, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Jack Parsons of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who was a self-avowed Satanist or part of the same thing. And you realize L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology.
They used
was
to
a part
call
of
it
this,
Jack Parsons Laboratory.
Yeah.
JPL was Jack.
Yeah.
All right, we're back.
We're back.
We got AC. We got AC.
Well, one of us is black. But
Well, I was hot, and I knew I was hot. But I've been uncomfortable most of my...
Yeah, but you're not supposed to brag about it, because then it's egotistical.
I've been uncomfortable most of my adult life, but I saw the perspiration going off of your face. I said, it's not just me.
See, the Jameson got me feeling so good, I was going to melt.
I thought it was the whiskey hitting in my lemonade, but I said, no, it's my guy. Let me go straighten him out. So, okay, we're back.
Now, I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but when I did, I sweat like a motherfucker. And I still smoke Zaganja. And I wonder sometimes if that's why I'm sweating. I don't sweat all the time with it, but like when I was smoking cigarettes, dude.
No, my God.
Oh, it
we're
was like
down.
the purge.
We're down in an unventilated basement, and the fucking AC was off. That's all it was. Trust me.
Well, that just shows you how checked out I am. But it's not mentally, just physically.
Not mentally.
Okay.
No, it's just so yeah. My whole thing is like, I always assume what I'm being fed is a lie. As soon as I start getting fed stuff, I honestly look the other way. I got ridiculed, and I'll say this until somebody does it. Like, there's a lot of people in my personal life who owe me an apology for the whole COVID thing.
Oh, same.
And it's like, I hope nobody else that I know or anybody gets hurt from this fucking vaccine they took. But it's like, it's slowly coming out for you guys because you guys watch fake news.
Yep.
We've known for a good while now.
That's why you support independent creators
That's
like ourselves.
why you see when everybody says, "Where do you get your news from?" The internet.
Well, that's
I
why
get my news from the internet.
my buddy always gets mad at me, and he always talks to me, but like before, even the moment a topic comes up, I don't have to say anything. He just is like, I can see he's getting mad already, and it's weird because this is why I'm not a political party guy too, is because people, or like we said the other day, if you have the wrong opinion on the topic of the moment, that's all it is to make you, oh, you're part of that group. And they think all you do is listen to Fox News or whoever they have in their head is like, that's what you do. It's like, you don't understand. It's like, I'm one of, you are as well. We're the kinds of people that are, from the get-go, went, because I was, I can honestly say I was very humble at the beginning about stuff going like, well, I don't know, maybe it is. So I started looking into stuff. And for doing that, that's when you get punished. Just because, it's not like I'm never a guy where I'm like I have all the answers, but I do get upset when people go like I'll point out this or an inconvenient fact, an inconvenient truth, and then they get all emotional on you. It's like, oh, so you're gonna gaslight me, calling me the radical ideologue when you're doing it by not even entertaining a conversation. That's why podcasts are important. Sorry, but they really fucking are.
People used to shout me down, and they're oh, you probably listen to Alex Jones. I was like, well, you know what made me start listening to Alex Jones?
What?
People that just could kind of figure out my politics right away would say, oh, you must listen to Alex Jones. That's what made me start listening to him. Can I tell you something? He's right a whole lot more than you. He's right a lot. He was talking about that Epstein shit more than a decade ago.
No,
and he was calling out names.
If you can't say Alex Jones was right at this point, even if you don't like the guy, then you're willfully ignoring inconvenient truths once again. Because that guy, I have a lot of respect for him because nobody's perfect. I feel like that way about a lot of podcasters or independent people, whether they're news or comics or whatever. I just respect people who are like, hey, they're saying 2 + 2 = 5, but 2 + 2 = 4. This is what they're saying. This is what they're doing, and that's all he's doing. And if he's man enough to go, hey, I maybe didn't handle this right or whatever, that's all you can expect from anybody. Just like us with this show, it's like, we could be wrong about something, but we don't know. There's this weird rule that, of course, that doesn't get applied to the other side. But if they even feel, you don't have to identify as this. If they identify you as conservative or just anti-DNC talking points, then you're the villain, and that is ridiculous.
And I'd like to say
anti-intellectual.
I'd like to say this too. Like, I find super liberal leaning men.
Yeah.
Without being insulting to anybody. It's kind of an effeminate stance.
Sure, it's like being a male feminist. It's like, what's your
it's
angle
an effeminate
here?
stance. I remember once I was talking to this guy, and I had just come back from Texas, and I was telling him how much I enjoyed how different it was from California.
Yeah.
So, and just and he goes, I would never live in Texas, and I go, why? Because of their politics. I said, because of their politics. I said, what are you talking about? And he starts talking about abortion rights, and I'm like, you a faggot or something? Like you're not gonna move to an awesome place with no income taxes because of what chicks can do with their vaginas? Yeah. What the fuck does that have to do with you? That's an effeminate stance to take in your fucking politics. People that are always willing to, if your politics are surrounded by like basically giving handouts, and handouts don't help anyone. A handout cripples. It's funny because the same people, their politics change when it's a national political opinion and it's their personal interactions with family and friends. Right. So personal interactions with family and friends, they'll tell you, hey man, you need to stop giving that chick money and let her get a job. Like say you got kids with her, you're with a chick. Yeah. So you have family members who vote Democrat, who voted for Joe Biden, telling you, hey man, you need to make that chick get a job, and she ain't gonna never do nothing if you keep, even though you got kids with her. Yeah. She ain't gonna do nothing for herself if you keep on giving her money. But I'm like, you vote Democrat. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, it's like, even if you're thinking democratic values are your values.
That shit is gay. I said.
But even if you think that, I remember, I was living here, so were you, during the COVID shit. That mayor is now, they're talking about him being, or governor or whatever, Newsom, as he's going to run for president. It's like, anybody who lived in this town who is just being honest to themselves knows that they didn't like his policies.
California
even believed half the bullshit.
California leads the country in major cities with a staggering homelessness problem.
Dude, the rest
Gavin
of the country,
Newsom isn't. Dude,
yeah.
You know why poor people like Gavin Newsom? Because Gavin Newsom didn't make anybody pay. And this was a setup to put you in debt. Because, to quote Louis Farragut, debt is slavery. Mm-hmm. So, that's what income taxes are. That's slavery. That's what that is. That's all slavery. I don't have a choice. If I don't have a choice, bro, it's slavery.
Right.
So, debt is slavery. So what he did was he told everybody, and this shit just stopped. I'm telling you, I promise you, it just stopped in the past 6 months. COVID had the most liberal, California had the most liberal stance on COVID, and Gavin Newsom passed some shit to where, like, if you were a renter, you didn't have to pay your rent from, like, literally
right. Yeah.
March 1st of 2020 until about 5-6 months ago. I swear to God.
And I know some people who straight up try to not do that. It's like, you're going to have to pay
I
them at
know a
some
bunch
point,
of people
you know,
who didn't.
Like, yeah.
Like, dude, shit was supposed to be getting paid in my name and didn't get paid.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. Like, so that, and you would think that's why people would like Donald Trump, because there was money in the hood when Donald Trump was around. Donald Trump made sure that, like, because he's that kind of guy. Like, you can say whatever you want to him about it, but he's a winner. He's for sure a winner. You got to cheat to beat him.
Well,
He's for sure a winner. You don't, and everybody like Donald Trump. I won't say Apprentice days Donald Trump, because that's when he became like this different personality with the whole "you're fired." The whole,
he's a rich asshole who fires people.
But no.
kind of
But
thing.
previously to that, like I remember. Let me tell you how old I am, man. I'm gonna start calling you that.
Please don't.
I remember in the '80s.
I'm gonna come in wearing a beard if you do that.
Staying the night with my aunt and uncle and my grandma and everybody and all that different shit. And I remember staying at my uncle Mo had a water bed. My aunt and Uncle Mo had a water bed.
I always wanted one of those.
That's how long ago it was. I've had people say that I want to be on a water bed. I said, it ain't all that. We grew up with that shit.
Yeah.
But I remember they had a water bed in their room. I'll never forget. It was like the middle bedroom in my grandma's house, and they were saving up to get a house and move and all that shit. And my Uncle Mo pulled out a Time magazine. And my Uncle Flubby, who passed away on his bike, he was there too.
That's a great name, by the way.
Yeah. And they pulled out a Time magazine. They showed me Donald Trump, and they said they pointed at some other famous person on the book. He said, "See this guy?
Yeah.
He's a multimillionaire."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Hey, see this man right here? That's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's a multi-billionaire." And that's what you want to be. And he flips through and he shows me like this solid gold toilet that he shits on.
Yeah.
And this was like 1986, 87. And so ever since then, I realized that, because it's a very well-known fact in the black community that black people, especially black people like my mom's age, no matter what a person does, or how fucked up they are, they'll go, "Hey man, he made his money." That's their whole thing. Hey, as long as he made his money, it don't matter. Hey, he made his money. What you want to do? I talk shit about Tyler Perry wearing a dress. He made his money. Like, hey, because we were so downtrodden, like we were so pushed back so far. Whenever one of us makes some money, it's like we all make money.
Sure.
So that's I know that's where they're coming from with that, but that's what it was. It's like, hey man, he made his money, and that's their excuse for everything. They're still trying to excuse Bill Cosby. I draw the line at skin beefs. You can get accused of something, and I won't draw the line on you. Motherfucker got to prove to me, not a court of law, not a jury of your peers. Because let me tell you something. Somebody stupid enough to show up for jury duty is not a peer of mine. So I don't care what the fuck they decided. They're idiots. They really are. But once I'm convinced that you did some weird sex shit, everybody's got their proclivities, but you can't drug and fuck chicks. I grew up on the Cosby Show.
That's where the line is.
I grew up on the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby was a personal hero of my entire life.
Yeah.
Because he had this whole thing about him where he wanted. I realized as an adult, way before this shit happened with him, that he was basically telling us not to act like niggas. That's what he was saying to us. And it's okay. Jake's my guy. He's used to me talking like that. For anybody who has anything to say, Jake is used to this shit coming from me. But he was basically telling black people to stop acting like niggas. And what he was doing was he was letting us know that basically the images of success was doing your best impression of living the way successful white people live. I swear, that's what you get from it. Like, do what they're doing. But like basically, think white, with that line from Jack Nicholson from As Good as It Gets. Think white and get serious. Like, that's Bill Cosby's whole thing. He was telling us not to act like niggas in front of white people because he's an old black man. And that's the thing old black men say, stop acting like niggas in front of white people. Pull your pants up, please. He was on that shit. He was just so fucked up about it that when everything came out about the sex shit, everybody jumped on it because he just rubbed everybody the wrong way. And I wanted to believe in him. I believed in him until I just couldn't anymore. There was just too many. Don't get me wrong. I know shit can be adulterated and news can be made fake and people can get paid to say certain shit. But it's like at a certain point, 50 chicks aren't saying you raped them and you didn't rape not one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird because I remember at the height of the Me Too shit, most of the people that at least early on, most of the things, other than Weinstein, other than Epstein, the connections, all that stuff, it never felt to me in the media sphere that Me Too was about legitimate cases. It was
No.
it was a lot of shit of like.
It was an op.
Yeah, it was an op, and
was
also
an op.
with Cosby, it's like there's people doing much worse shit.
Oh, dude.
So
The
why
Epstein
Cosby?
shit.
Why
Because
even Spacey? There's certain ones where it's like
Dude.
it felt like these got thrown under the bus because they
those
pissed
are-
somebody off
those
or something
are,
like
those
that.
are
you
the
know?
scapegoats.
Doesn't mean they
slash-
didn't do it, by the way.
Those are the scape.
but-
See, whenever you
yeah.
have a big fuck up going on,
Yeah.
and you need to start compartmentalizing and managing your fuck up, the first thing you need to do is get a scapegoat or a sacrificial lamb. Okay? And if you can't obtain those animals anywhere, you got to start making up shit.
Yeah.
But so what happens is whenever you see a guy like Cosby getting persecuted in the news about this, so much of that is going to be real. So much of that is going to be the op.
Yeah.
Because it's a false flag to distract you from the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was a CIA agent who was running a giant honeypot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it was about. That's why he was basically unprosecutable because he was a CIA asset, like
Right.
George Herbert Walker Bush was before he ever got involved in official government. Like that's just the truth of the matter. He was a CIA asset,
Exactly.
and his job, the reason why he was given, because let me tell you something. You know what's not hard to get?
What?
It's only hard to get for regular people. A lot of money.
Mm.
A lot of money isn't hard to get for people who don't seem to have it. People involved in clandestine government shit.
Yeah.
All the shit with the drugs and the child fucking shit and this and this and this. These are all multi-billion-dollar industries,
Yeah.
right? And so they're pulling from that shit to pay the people that they have assets that they need to gain intel that they want, and they're willing to give that asset, who's a fucking pervert, chomo tree jumper, they're willing to go kidnap in the network a little 6 or 7 year old kid to let this weirdo fuck him because that's what he needs to do the job for you.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But also, it was literally, it's like, hey, man, we got to get everybody up high in a compromising position. So whether we need videos of guys cheating on their wives, whether we need videos of guys having sex with underage women, whether we need videos of guys fucking having gay sex, whatever we need it as ammo, and then we can do whatever we want because certain levels of that shit need to be able to move with carte blanche.
Right.
The real CIA, not the office you can go to, the real CIA, those
Yeah.
people, they need money coming from everywhere because money has to go out and they have to move without impedance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where somebody like Epstein comes in. There's no way that out in the open, it's always out in the open, that you could run a child sex trafficking ring and have rich people showing up to an island with underage runaways and having sex with them. There's no way that just happens and everybody knows about it, but nobody does anything.
Exactly.
That's all. Okay, where I'm from, that's always a clear indication. When you see a guy selling drugs with impunity and moving how he wants to,
Mm-hmm.
after a while, and he's never been arrested or nothing happens, after a while you go, okay, he has an end with
Yeah.
the people that are supposed to be stopping this.
Well, in the rumors, I mean, WikiLeaks was the first big thing that opened a lot of this shit, but the rumors about there being islands or massive operations with kids has been going around for a long time. And to me, when stuff pops up in Hollywood films, for example, it's not indicative technically that it's true, but there's a way to put things in art form and truths that can only be revealed in fiction, especially with literature, but especially with films as well. And I've seen stuff like that, like to me, I'm sorry, but like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, like very clear adrenochrome sequence and shit like that.
I stomped him and pulled all his teeth out.
I remember thinking, Jesus, what a terrible thing to lay on somebody with a head full of acid. Where'd you get this?
Never mind, it's absolutely pure.
What kind of monster client have you hooked up with this time?
Satanism freak.
I think there's only one source for this stuff. The, adrenaline gland from a living human body.
I know. The guy didn't have any cash to pay me. He offered me human blood, said it would take me higher than I'd ever been in my life. Thought he was kidding.
Oh,
So I told him I'd just as soon have an ounce or so of pure adrenochrome. Or maybe just a fresh adrenaline gland to chew on.
I could already feel the stuff working on me. The first wave felt like a combination of mescaline and methadone. Maybe I should take a swim, I thought.
Yes, sir. They nailed this guy for child molesting. He swore he didn't do it. Why should I fuck with children, he said. They're too small. Christ, what could I say? Even a goddamn werewolf is entitled to legal counsel. Didn't dare to turn the creep down. Might have picked up a letter opener and gone after my pineal gland. You know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Why not? We should get some of that. Just eat a big handful and see what happens.
Some of what?
Extract of pineal.
You sure that's a good idea? One whiff of that stuff will turn you into something out of a goddamn medical piece.
Beautiful fucking tits.
Your head will swallow a lot of water now. Probably gain about 100 pounds in 2 hours.
Right.
Or claw. Bleeding once.
Yes.
And then you notice about 6 huge hairy tits swelling up on your back. You go blind. Your body would turn to wax. You have to put you in a wheelbarrow. And when you scream for help, you'll sound like a raccoon. Man, I'll try just about anything, but I'd never in hell touch a pineal gland.
Finish the fucking story, man. What happened? What about the glands?
Jesus, that stuff got right on top of you, didn't it? Look at your face. You're about to explode.
Maybe you could just shove me into the pool.
And if I put you in the pool right now, you'll sink like a goddamn stone. You took too much, man. You took too much, too much. Don't try and fight it. You'll get brain bubbles, strokes, aneurysms. You'll just wither up and die.
And continue killing innocent people.
Allowed the last hopes for peace and freedom of millions of people to be suffocated. So tonight, to you, the brave, the silent, the charged. Sacrifice and 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 sacrifice.
Dude, I know the guy who in the Bay who was Hunter S. Thompson's weed man until the day he died.
Now that's a gig. That's a movie right there.
It was Puck.
No way.
Of course.
That's awesome.
Puck, watch this. I've been trying to reach you for months. I know you're doing this weird Kerouac thing. I got a bunch of land in the desert you can stay on. Somebody tag Puck in this and put him on. I've caught him on other fucking podcasts. I
saw him on something.
I haven't seen him since he left my house in his van. He was all pissy about some shit, but he was getting high, and I can't have that like that. Like, look, you got to be able to control your shit. I'll say this because he talks about it openly, but if you do drugs that I don't do, you got to be able to control your shit. And when he does certain shit, he becomes like this weird hermit hoarder in a van.
Yeah.
He does his whole, and I love him, so I would let him come over, take a shower, I'd feed him, and let him park his fucking van, and it just whatever. And we'd go out and hang out with fucking babe. But I miss the guy. He's a really good friend of mine. I can't fucking find him. And then I'd lost the phone, and something happened, and with Verizon, I had to get a different number.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have his shit. I've been hitting him up. So anybody that knows David Puck, Rainey Puck, you dick, hit me up.